Hello Zwifters and welcome back to another weekend race vlog. For those that are new to the channel, my name is Ollie. I'm a mid-category B rider trying to improve, win some races and make it up to a Cat A. I'm 76 kilograms with an FTP of 276 and I've only really been cycling for 2 years. So let's talk about this week's course. We're racing 4 laps of the Fan Flats, which is the Richmond map. Each lap is 3.1 miles or 5 kilometres for a total of 15.2 miles, and that's inclusive of the lead-in. As the name states, this course is pretty flat with only 43 foot of elevation per lap, which is 197 feet for the whole race. So my aim, as always, is to stay with the front group for as long as possible and finish as high as I can. So the last time I raced was the Tuesday ZRL, with today currently being Saturday, so I've been a bit poor with the training this week. And as always, these races get to a fast start. From experience, this course is normally pretty chill until about halfway around during the little drag of 1.3%, and then it all kicks off. So it's a case of hanging on for me and then recovering the best I can. Repeat that 4 times. So I thought I'd skip on because nothing of much interest happened during the lead-in. So we're just coming around the corner now to start the first lap. And of course, this is where there's an opportunity to get some sort of power up. And luckily I got a nice little feather for the first one, which is good. So yeah, I'm just trying to sit in at the moment, taking in as much of the draft as I possibly can. And just basically focusing on preparing myself to put the power down as soon as we get to the little drag. So here we are at the bottom of Broad Street, coming up to the first little effort. And I don't really want to be hanging out the back here. I want to be somewhere near the front, just so as soon as it starts to kick off, I can stay in the draft for as long as possible and I don't really have to put in an effort that's going to knacker me out for the remainder of the race. So yeah, as you can see, everyone starts dropping the power up. I drop my featherweight power up as well. And the aim is, just to stay in this front little group. I normally find that once again, if there's a split, it will happen towards the back of the group, obviously. And I don't want to be the person that has to then breach across. So the further towards the front I can be, the better. Now I'm dropping quite a lot of watts here. For me, that is, 300 plus, 5.3 watts a kilogram at the moment. So yeah, it's quite a difficult effort for me. But at the same time, back in my head, I know we've got 3 further laps to go. Also, I'm just checking the little map as well, making sure that, we're seeing who's dropping off the back, and you can see there's someone just dropping there. So my position at the moment is absolutely perfect. However, I have noticed that my heart rate is a little bit higher than I would normally like. So 170 is well above where I would normally say I should be. So I normally, comfortably will sit 165 BPM. So 170, I'm perhaps a little bit concerned about that. But overall, I kind of feel comfortable. So my heart rate versus how I feel at this point don't really match up. But yeah, happy with the first little run up to the end of the lap. So I'll just let this play through. So as you can see, I just thought I'd stop it here. So someone has put keep it going at the front. We drop no one, obviously indicating that it's still quite a big group that we've got with us. That didn't particularly do anything to the race, but it was interesting to see. So now we're coming over the start finish line again. And the group begins to have a little bit of a split here. So I go into defensive mode, just want to make sure that I stay with the blob, basically. I think there's 3 guys up ahead. And yeah, all I'm doing, I know these 3 guys won't make it, especially as we come to a decline, or a very minor decline in the old road. So yeah, all I'm doing here is just staying with the blob until we re-blob, and then recover, ready for the drag up the other side again. So here we are at the bottom of Broad Street again, and it's all kicking off. everyone started to use their power-ups. Now, interestingly, the power-up that I got this time round, or last time round, was the aero. In my opinion, one of the better power-ups. So my aim here was to not use this power-up until I really, really needed it. Because I think even if I was falling off the back, it's one of those where you can just press it and it just gives you that little bit extra and you're back in the group. So yeah, once again, I'm just trying to hold on to this front group as best I can. Similar sort of watts as before. Heart rate is way too high. 173 is just crazy. So I really need to recover the best I can. So in hindsight, which is obviously a great thing, I should have probably popped this at some point along here, but I decided not to for some reason. Probably because I was kind of near the start or near the front of the pack. But yeah, it probably wasn't the greatest of ideas. Once again, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, I've got to do this a couple more times. So not long to go, really. The race was going quite quickly. You know, we're only 17 minutes in. So I was pretty happy up to this point of how the race was going, and it wasn't overly difficult. It was as I'd expected so far. So I'm kind of thinking if I don't use this aero, I might be in with a good shout of coming, you know, top half, maybe even threatening the top 10, seeing as we've got to be around 30, 40 deep, so we've probably lost 20 from this front group already. I can see a little move going away here, and I decide not to breach, because once again, this big blob here, chances are I can surf some wheels and get back up to the front, or it'll just re-blob. So yeah, I'm just still trying to not go crazy with my power. Heart rate is still up there though. And to be fair, this effort has lasted quite a long time. Sometimes I was saying normally it's died down before this point, and yet we're still going. So yeah, I really need to sit in and recover now. So luckily I did get a little bit of recovery, but we are now back at the bottom of Broad Street, ready to have another effort, which is lovely. This is just like a training session, really. That's why sometimes I think Zwift races are pretty good for training, because you can put an effort in and then recover, which is, you know, similar to many training sessions out there. Don't know which ones, you can tell me if you want to. Anyway, so if you've got this far into the video, please give us a like, please give us a subscribe. It really does help. I enjoy making these, but it is nice to get a little notification that says I've got another subscriber. So as you can see, it wasn't really too difficult on this incline. I was expecting it to go a little bit more. So we're on obviously the second to last lap now. So I think everyone was probably saving their energy for the last lap, which is soon approaching. We're still in a pretty big group here, and it's one of those where I kind of think, you know, the groups almost resided themselves to, you know, this is the group that we're going to finish in. So we're just coming around here to the start finish, and I've just slowed it down a little bit because I've still got that power up. I've not used it for a lap, and I've got a decision to make here now. Do I pop it just before the end so I get a new power up? Obviously it's a random power up. Or do I leave it for the last lap? Because aeros are good for, you know, for this time in a lap's time, I'd be using the aero. So I don't know, it's sort of kicking off again, over 300 watts, so I decided to use the aero and take my chances with a new power up. And luckily for me, I get another aero, which is brilliant. So I get to save a little bit of energy here, and now I've got my aero for hopefully a strong finish. Or so I thought, because immediately the group starts to split in a location where it never has before, which is actually super annoying because I'm almost using my last match on this bit here. So once again, same strategy as before, just trying to stick with the front of the pack. I do not want to split. I don't want to come like 3-4 laps in and lose it on this bit. You know, I need to get to the end here. So yeah, I'm just trying my best to stay with the front of the pack here. Someone has gone off the front. Once again, not sure if that was a great move. I get it if they're not a sprinter. But I'm just restaying with the blob. And yeah, luckily it does quieten down a little bit. But we are heading around the circuit for the last time. Just coming to the bottom of Broad Street here, ready for it to all kick off again. As it does. So for me, I'm thinking, right, last lap, we just need to make sure that I stay with this group, give myself the best opportunity that I can. I mean, tactically, it's not great, but it's all I can do, really. And there are some strong numbers already. I have to put in a little blast just to make sure that I stay with this front group. And I always find that really difficult when you come past a different category. I feel like sometimes that can really influence the race and break it up. So I'm just focusing, the guy in the yellow, I'm just focusing on him, just making sure I stay with this group, not worrying about what's going on behind me at all. However, I am struggling, 176, 175 BPM, I'm putting out a lot of watts, and I need to save some energy for the end. Otherwise, I won't have anything left for the sprint, and I'll just come, you know, last in this group, which for me is still a pretty good achievement. However, you know, it would be nice, especially with the power up that I've got, which, by the way, I've just used. So that just goes to show you how much I was struggling. Once again, in hindsight, definitely shouldn't have used that power up then, because it kind of slows down a little bit here. I should have just powered on. And I think that's the thing with cycling in these Zwift races. It's very much a mental test as well as a physical one. So mentally, my legs were, well, mentally in my head, I just wanted to stop. I just wanted to the pain to go away and for it to be made easier. Hence why I popped that aero for a second. What I should have gone and done is continue to ride and just sort of thought, you know, there's under a mile left. There's probably under 3 minutes left of this race. Well, there's definitely under 3 minutes left of this race. Just continue on and then you can rest afterwards. But now I pop the aero. So now, you know, with not very long to go at all, I'm kind of in a bit of a difficult position. And as I roll it on here, you can see I'm just sort of hanging out the back as best I can, or hanging on to the back as best I can, ready for the final sprint. Not in such a bad position here. I'm thinking, right, if I've got anything left, I can hopefully come through these guys and maybe still get a decent result. But as you can see, I kind of just missed the boat a little bit. It was only a couple of seconds of lack of concentration and it's too late. And I've got absolutely nothing left in this sprint at all. Kind of sit down and try and grind it out, but I'm afraid it is not happening. And I finished the race in 34th position. I think Zwift Power I finished 29th, and then out of Zwift Power I finished 25th out of 39, and in the companion I finished 34th out of 52. So not a great race, not a terrible race. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.